Throughout history, the narrative of strength has always been shaped by those who refused to wait for permission. Authority, respect, and influence are never handed out freely. They are claimed by those who step forward with certainty and unshakable belief in their cause. Conviction is the fuel that transforms a vision into reality, and it is the element that separates the dreamers from the doers. Without it, power slips through the hands of even the most capable. With it, ordinary individuals and nations rise beyond limitations, redefining what is possible. When we look closely, the world has always rewarded boldness. Think about the innovators who dared to introduce ideas long before society was ready to accept them, or the leaders who challenged established empires at the risk of ridicule or punishment. Their stories teach us a single undeniable truth. Nobody simply gives you influence. It is carved out of the fabric of resistance, claimed with the unwavering belief that you have as much right to stand tall as anyone else. Conviction is not just a mindset. It is a declaration to the world that you will not be ignored. Consider the way individuals carry themselves in moments of pressure. The person who hesitates, who waits for approval, quickly becomes invisible in the crowd. But the one who steps forward, voice firm, decision clear, instantly shifts the atmosphere. People follow certainty, not doubt. Nations too operate under this law. When a country believes deeply in its own strength and acts accordingly, others are compelled to acknowledge it, even if they resist at first. Conviction makes space for power where none seemed to exist before. What makes conviction so powerful is its ability to turn resistance into fuel. Obstacles are not seen as barriers, but as opportunities to prove strength. Challenges become the stage on which determination is displayed. This mindset transforms setbacks into stepping stones and criticism into energy for growth. In fact, opposition often sharpens conviction because it forces clarity. Only when tested do individuals and nations discover whether their belief is real or simply a convenient slogan. But conviction is not blind stubbornness. It is not arrogance or noise for the sake of attention. True conviction is grounded in purpose, guided by values, and directed toward a vision greater than personal gain. That's why it inspires others. People are drawn to stand with those who radiate certainty born of deep principles, not shallow pride. The stronger the alignment between belief and action, the more irresistible the momentum becomes. At its heart, this principle is about ownership of destiny. No one will hand you respect, independence, or leadership. Waiting for approval is a trap that keeps potential locked away. Instead, the path to power requires stepping forward, taking responsibility, and declaring with action that your voice matters. Conviction does not guarantee an easy journey, but it ensures that when history turns its pages, your presence is impossible to overlook. In the end, those who dare to claim their rightful place are the ones who shape the future. Adversity has always been the greatest teacher. It strips away comfort, it pushes beyond the familiar, and it tests whether the foundation of belief is solid or fragile. When challenges rise, they force growth in ways that ease never could. A life of constant comfort breeds complacency, but struggle ignites resilience. What looks like a setback on the surface often becomes the very forge in which character, courage, and determination are formed. Look at nature for proof. Trees that grow in calm environments with perfect conditions develop shallow roots, easily shaken by storms. But those that grow against strong winds on rocky soil or in droughts are forced to reach deeper. Their roots run stronger, and their survival makes them unshakable. Humanity is no different. Every trial, every pushback, every resistance forces us to go deeper, to uncover strength we didn't know we had. Without those storms, the roots of greatness would never grow. Nations, too, evolve under pressure. The moments that define their destiny are rarely born from peace and ease. They emerge when powerful forces challenge their autonomy, when outside pressures attempt to dictate their path. In those moments, the spirit of the people is tested. Will they fold under the weight, or will they rise and use that very pressure to awaken a deeper resolve? History's most transformative eras have always been those when resistance sparked unity, when difficulty became the catalyst for strength. On an individual level, resistance reveals identity. Think of the athlete who trains with heavier weights, pushing beyond what the body naturally prefers. The resistance breaks muscle fibers, but in repairing, the body grows stronger. The same law governs the mind and the spirit. It is through opposition that courage is strengthened. It is through challenge that vision is sharpened. Without resistance, growth stagnates. With it, power expands. There is also a hidden gift within resistance, clarity. When the path is easy, decisions can be careless, direction can be vague. But when the stakes are high, when resistance is fierce, clarity sharpens like a blade. Priorities are set, distractions are removed, and energy is channeled with precision. In this way, the very presence of resistance becomes a compass it forces focus. It demands conviction, and it ensures only the strongest strategies survive. It's important to remember that resistance is not an enemy. It is a mirror. It reflects back to us how badly we want something. If a vision crumbles under opposition, it was never built on solid ground. But if it withstands pressure, adapts, and grows stronger, then it proves itself worthy of becoming reality. Resistance, then, becomes the ultimate measure of worth. In every story of triumph, whether personal or national, the common thread is the same. The fire of opposition shaped the steel of strength. Without that test, there would be no glory, no breakthrough, no legacy. Greatness is never born in silence and ease. It emerges in the roar of challenge, sharpened and unbreakable. In today's world, wars are no longer fought only with weapons and armies. The real struggle for dominance plays out in boardrooms, trade agreements, and technological innovation. Nations are no longer measured solely by the size of their military, but by the strength of their economies, the control of their markets, and the independence of their resources. The ability to decide one's economic path without external control is the true measure of freedom in the modern era. Money flows, supply chains, and trade deals have become the new instruments of power. Sanctions, tariffs, and resource control can cripple nations more effectively than bombs ever could. Whoever controls production, innovation, and distribution holds the reins of influence. This is why countries are now fiercely protecting their industries, investing in technology, and securing critical resources. The modern battlefield does not always make headlines with explosions, but its impact is even greater. It decides who thrives and who becomes dependent. The power of economic independence lies in choice. A nation that produces its own energy, develops its own technologies, and sustains its own industries cannot be easily manipulated. But one that relies too heavily on others for essentials like fuel, food, or digital infrastructure places its future in someone else's hands. That is not just vulnerability, it is surrender. And history shows that those who surrender economic power eventually lose political power as well. Look at how competition in technology has reshaped global influence. Nations leading in artificial intelligence, semiconductors, space exploration, and green energy are dictating the pace of progress. They are not just selling products, they are shaping the rules of the future. Every breakthrough is not only an innovation, it is a strategic weapon. The country that controls critical technologies sets the terms for everyone else. Dependence in this age is equivalent to weakness. For individuals, the same principle applies. Economic freedom determines the ability to make decisions without fear or constraint. Those who rely entirely on others for income or stability often find themselves limited, unable to take bold risks. But those who create, innovate, and build multiple streams of strength gain true independence. Whether on a personal or national level, control over resources equals control over destiny. What makes this battlefield even more intense is that it is invisible to the untrained eye. While people see flags, speeches, or armies, the real moves happen in trade talks, corporate mergers, and technological races. Power is quietly shifting every time a nation secures supply chains, builds resilient infrastructure, or forms alliances based on mutual economic benefit. It's a silent war, but one with consequences that shape centuries. In this new era, survival belongs to those who dare to protect their sovereignty with relentless focus. The tools may be different from the past, but the principle remains the same. Only the independent can be truly free. To thrive, a nation must claim its place, not by asking for permission, but by securing its economy with strength, vision, and courage. In the past, power was defined by land, armies, and the size of empires. Today, the measure has shifted. The true struggle for dominance lies in the strength of a nation's economy, its control over vital resources, and its ability to remain independent in global trade. The modern world runs on supply chains, technology, and financial systems, and whoever controls these levers shapes the future. Conflict is no longer always fought with tanks and missiles. It is waged through sanctions, tariffs, and trade wars. A nation can be brought to its knees not by invading armies, but by cutting off its access to energy, food, or technology. This form of power is more subtle but far more effective, because it strikes at the foundation of survival. Dependence on others for essential goods and infrastructure creates a vulnerability that can be exploited at any time. The ability to stand tall economically is no longer a luxury. It is a necessity. Consider technology as an example. Countries that lead in artificial intelligence, semiconductors, and renewable energy don't just innovate. They dictate the rules of global progress. Every chip manufactured, every patent registered, and every resource secured becomes a strategic advantage. Control of technology is not just about gadgets or convenience. It is about setting the pace of civilization. If one nation controls the future of computing or space exploration, others will have no choice but to follow its terms. That is how dominance is established without a single shot being fired. The same applies to energy and natural resources. Nations rich in oil, gas, or rare earth minerals wield enormous influence. But true strength lies not just in possession, but in the ability to refine, innovate, and distribute. That is why self-reliance in critical sectors matters so much. A country that can fuel its own industries, feed its own people, and power its own future cannot be held hostage by external pressure. Independence in resources equals independence in decision making. This principle extends to individuals as well. Just as nations must secure their economies, people must secure their financial independence. When your livelihood depends entirely on someone else, your freedom is limited. But when you create, diversify, and control your own sources of strength, you gain the ability to choose your path without fear. Economic independence, whether for a person or a nation, is the ultimate foundation of freedom. The danger lies in complacency. A country that grows too comfortable relying on imports, outsourcing critical industries, or depending on foreign capital slowly surrenders its power. The chains may be invisible, but they are strong. Breaking them requires courage, vision, and sacrifice. It means investing in innovation, nurturing homegrown industries, and making decisions not just for the present, but for generations ahead. In this era, the battlefield is silent but decisive. Every trade deal, every technological leap, every resource secured is a step toward strength or a step toward submission. Those who embrace independence will rise as leaders. Those who cling to dependence will fade into irrelevance. The choice is clear. Control your economy or be controlled by others. History has never been shaped by hesitation. The moments that alter the course of humanity always begin with a single daring decision, an act that challenges the status quo and refuses to accept what the world insists is permanent. Every great shift in power, culture, or innovation has been sparked by those who dared to step beyond the limits of convention. Boldness is not reckless. It is the refusal to allow fear to define the boundaries of possibility. Think of the explorers who once set sail into unknown waters. To the cautious, the horizon was the edge of the world, a place of danger and certain ruin. But to the bold, it was an invitation. That step into uncertainty reshaped geography, trade, and the very understanding of our planet. Nations were redefined, alliances restructured, and new opportunities bore. All because someone was willing to defy the fear of the unknown. The same pattern echoes across every era. It is the bold who break the invisible walls that others accept as unmovable. In the modern world, the same principle applies. When a nation takes a bold economic stance, invests in revolutionary technology, or asserts its independence against overwhelming odds, the ripple effects are global. A single decision can disrupt markets, redefine alliances, and shift the balance of power. These are not just political maneuvers. They are declarations to the world that the future will not look like the past. The map is never static. It bends to the will of those courageous enough to challenge it. Boldness carries risk, but it also carries transformation. Playing it safe may preserve the present, but it guarantees stagnation. Bold steps, on the other hand, carry the weight of uncertainty, but also the power of reinvention. Every innovation we take for granted today, from flight to digital communication, was once considered impossible or foolish. Yet those who believed in their vision over the voices of doubt reshaped civilization. The same holds true for nations. Every time a country breaks away from dependence, challenges powerful adversaries, or pioneers new frontiers, it alters the trajectory of history. The beauty of boldness is that it inspires. A single decisive act by one leader or one nation can awaken courage in others. It sends a message: the world can be changed, and you are not bound by what has always been. That spark ignites movements, fuels revolutions, and creates momentum that no amount of opposition can fully contain. In this way, bold steps not only redraw boundaries, but also rewrite the mindset of generations. At its core, boldness is about vision. It is about seeing a reality that does not yet exist and stepping forward to claim it. The timid wait for the world to change. The bold take responsibility to change it themselves. And once that step is taken, nothing remains the same. The map of power, influence, and possibility shifts forever, proving that courage is the true architect of history. Every generation is faced with moments when compromise seems easier than resistance, when silence appears safer than speaking, and when submission feels like the quickest path to survival. Yet, the stories that endure across centuries are never about those who chose to bend under pressure. They are about those who stood tall, even when the weight of the world pressed down upon them. True remembrance is earned not by obedience, but by the courage to remain unshaken. The human spirit naturally gravitates towards strength. People admire those who can withstand storms without breaking, who choose principle over convenience, and who guard their dignity even when tempted by power or threatened with loss. This is because resilience speaks to something universal inside us. It reminds us that no matter how great the pressure, there is always a choice. That choice is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Consider the lives of great leaders, reformers, and visionaries. Many of them were offered opportunities to surrender, to take the easier path, or to abandon their convictions for comfort. Yet, they refused. Their decisions often brought them hardship in the moment, but over time they forged identities larger than life itself. Their names became synonymous with courage, their actions immortalized because they did not yield. History does not celebrate those who bowed. It elevates those who stood. Nations mirror the same principle. A country that compromises its values for temporary relief may gain short-term benefits but loses the respect of the world and the confidence of its own people. On the other hand, when a nation asserts its sovereignty, protects its dignity, and refuses to be dictated to, it plants itself firmly in the pages of history. Resistance may invite struggle, but it also inspires unity and pride. Generations yet unborn inherit that spirit of defiance and build upon it. What makes refusal so powerful is not stubbornness, it is purpose. To resist without vision is arrogance, but to resist in the name of justice, freedom, and dignity is to create a legacy that lives far beyond one lifetime. It shows the world that there are values more precious than comfort, and principles worth more than immediate gain. This kind of strength creates a story that is retold, generation after generation, because it embodies the essence of human greatness. Every individual, every nation, will one day face the test of pressure. To bow is to choose silence, to fade into the background of history. To stand firm, however, is to carve a name into the memory of the future. The true measure of impact lies not in how long one lived or how wealthy one became, but in how courageously one refused to compromise when it mattered most. And it is in that defiance, that unshakable resolve, that legacies are born and remembered forever.